The side hustle you're building on nights and weekends is a trap. It feels like an escape route, but it's just the blueprint for a newer, more demanding prison. By the end of this, you'll understand the fundamental difference between income that buys you more work and income that buys you more life, and chances are the stream you're building right now falls into the wrong category entirely. Most pursuits of financial freedom are just job applications in disguise. You quit a 40-hour week working for a boss to start an 80-hour week working for 1,000 customers. You've changed your manager. You haven't changed the equation. The equation that keeps you tethered is time for money. As long as your income is a direct function of the hours you personally put in, you are the engine. And engines have a breaking point. Time freedom emerges from a different kind of math entirely. It comes from building engines that run without you. There are only 3 fundamental models for these engines. The first is the automated engine. This is the art of building a business that operates on systems instead of your constant presence. Imagine a freelance graphic designer. They are skilled, in demand, and charge a high hourly rate. Their income is directly proportional to their keyboard time. If they stop working, the money stops. This is the classic time for money cage, just with better furniture. The systems builder looks at the same industry and asks a different question. What parts of this process can be codified, automated, or delegated? They build a website with a clear menu of productized services, a logo package for $500, a social media kit for $1,000. The customer selects a package, fills out a detailed creative brief, and pays up front. All automated. The payment triggers a project in a management system, assigning tasks to a small, trusted team of freelance designers. The system manages communication, feedback, and final delivery. The founder's job is to design and refine the system. They work on the business, not in the business. This is the critical distinction. The freelancer is paid for their labor. The system builder is paid for their design. One is selling hours, the other is selling a predictable, scalable result. The system is the product. Critics often argue that this approach removes the human touch and leads to lower quality. This is a misunderstanding of the goal. The system's purpose is to handle 80% of the repetitive administrative work. The client acquisition, the billing, the project setup, so that human creativity can be focused on the 20% that truly matters. The system creates the space for excellence. It doesn't replace it. You felt it. The Sunday evening dread. The feeling that the week ahead is a mountain of tasks you have to personally conquer. The owner of an automated engine feels a different pressure. The pressure to improve the machine, to find a better gear, to lubricate a sticking point. It's the pressure of an architect reviewing blueprints, a profoundly different stress from that of a laborer laying bricks. Building this engine requires a painful mindset shift. You have to trade the ego gratification of being the hero who solves every problem for the quiet satisfaction of building a system that prevents problems from happening. It requires trusting others. It requires documenting every single step of a process you currently do, by instinct. It's front-loaded work. It's grueling. You might spend 6 months building the machine before it produces $1 of income that feels truly free. During that time, the freelancer billing hourly is out-earning you and seems to be winning, but their path is linear. Yours is exponential. The system, once operational, can serve 10 clients as easily as 1. It can serve 100 with minor adjustments. Its capacity is detached from your personal inventory of hours. It works while you sleep. It works while you are on vacation. It is the first true step away from the time for money exchange. But building a complex operational system is hard. It takes capital, people, and management. There is another path, a path that allows a single creator to achieve the same leverage using an asset built from a different material, an asset that costs nothing to copy. In infinite copy, think of a baker. To sell a loaf of bread, they must mix the dough, bake it, and hand it to a customer. Every single sale requires a new physical act of creation. The marginal cost of producing one more loaf is real. It costs flour, electricity, and the baker's time. Now think of an author who writes a book. They spend a year researching, writing, and editing, a massive upfront investment of time. But once that book is finished and uploaded as a digital file, the marginal cost of producing one more copy is zero. 1,000 people can buy and download it in the same hour, and it requires no additional effort from the author. The work was done once. It can be sold forever. The book is an infinite copy asset. This model applies to any form of packaged knowledge or creativity: an online course, a software application, a collection of stock photographs, a musical album, a set of architectural plans. The core principle is decoupling production from delivery. You perform the act of creation once, and technology handles the act of replication and distribution infinitely. This is the deepest form of leverage available to an individual. You are creating a digital machine that works for you. Unlike the automated service business, which still has moving parts and human dependencies, an IP asset is almost entirely self-sufficient once launched into a marketplace. Of course, the challenge shifts. The baker's primary challenge is production. The author's primary challenge is relevance. In a world where anyone can publish an ebook or launch a course, the noise is overwhelming. The Steelman argument is that these markets are saturated. And they are. They are saturated with mediocrity. The barrier to entry is near zero, which invites a flood of low-quality products. The barrier to creating something genuinely valuable, however, is as high as it has ever been. It requires deep expertise, excellent communication, and a real understanding of a specific audience's problems. The opportunity is in the niche. The internet allows you to find the 1,000 people on the planet who desperately need your specific, peculiar knowledge. The course on advanced spreadsheet modeling for commercial real estate analysts. The guide to identifying rare mushroom species in the Pacific Northwest. The collection of design templates for independent coffee shops. These are assets that serve a small, dedicated audience and can generate revenue for years. Ask yourself this question: how much of your life's accumulated knowledge is currently stored only in your head? How much of your expertise is dispensed 1 hour at a time in meetings or consultations and then evaporates? An IP asset is a vessel for that knowledge. It captures it, packages it, and turns it into a worker that can serve people around the clock. The income it generates is a reflection of the value you created in the past. It's your past self paying your present self. This is profoundly powerful. It's how you build a library of small, silent workers who fund your freedom. But creating these assets is a sprint, a deep, focused effort of creation, and then you need a new idea for the next one. It's an active process of building your portfolio of assets. What if there was a way to generate income that required no new creation at all? A way to put the profits from your automated engine and your IP assets to work in a way that compounds on its own. What happens when the creator is you and the engine is your money itself? That's the third and final stage of separation. The third engine is the money multiplier, capital at work. This is the oldest path to freedom, yet it's the one most often misunderstood. People think of it as playing the stock market, picturing stressful day trading and complex charts. This is just another job. True capital at work income is about ownership, not activity. When you buy a share of a dividend-paying company, you are buying a tiny fraction of a productive enterprise. You own a piece of their factories, their patents, their brand, their systems. You own a slice of the very same kinds of engines we've been discussing, except they are built and operated by thousands of other people. Your job is to allocate capital. Their job is to run the business. This is the final layer of abstraction. You are no longer designing the machine or creating the intellectual property. You are simply the owner of the machine. Imagine an apple orchard. You could work in the orchard, picking apples for a wage. That's a job. You could design a more efficient system for harvesting and selling the apples. That's the automated engine. You could write the definitive book on growing apples in your climate. That's intellectual property. Or you could simply buy the orchard. You hire a manager to run it, and you collect a share of the profits from the apple harvest. That is capital at work. Investing in a low-cost index fund is the equivalent of buying a fractional share in thousands of orchards across hundreds of countries, growing every kind of fruit imaginable. It is the ultimate diversification of your ownership. The income that arrives, dividends, distributions, is a tangible return on capital that was put to productive use in the global economy. Your money is doing the work. Time is your greatest employee. The principle of compounding means that the returns your capital generates are reinvested, generating their own returns. The growth becomes exponential. Your money starts working harder than you ever could. This third stream is the capstone. It's what you fuel with the profits from the first two streams. You build an automated service business that generates $100,000 a year in free cash flow. You use that cash to buy assets in the stock market. You create an online course that brings in $3,000 a month. You automatically invest 2/3 of that into a real estate investment trust. This creates a flywheel. The active engines, the ones that required your upfront creative effort, are now funding the passive engine, which requires only your patience. The capital engine, in turn, makes the entire structure more resilient. If a competitor disrupts your service business, the dividends from your portfolio can cover your expenses while you pivot. If sales of your book decline, the growth of your investments continues unabated. It provides the stability that allows for bold new creative risks. This is the endgame. Your time is now freed up entirely. It can be spent on managing your portfolio of assets, a high-leverage activity of periodic review and rebalancing, or on whatever you truly value. Starting a new creative project for love, not money. Spending time with family. Learning a new skill. The work becomes a choice. The journey is a progressive transfer of reliance. First, you rely on your own hours. Then you learn to rely on systems you've designed. Then on intellectual property you've created. Finally, you rely on capital itself. Each step grants you a greater degree of freedom. Each one moves you further from the role of operator and closer to the role of owner. This is the architecture of autonomy. Every dollar you earn from a system you built, an asset you created, or capital you own, is a vote for a future where your time is your own. The prison of a 9-to-5, or even a stressful freelance career, is that your life is spent executing someone else's plan. The escape plan was never about digging faster. It was about obtaining the blueprint to the entire facility. The work of an architect